What's up, otakus? Just hopping on here. I'm entering Alex Big Blue's 450 sub giveaway. And he's well above 450 now. He's probably gonna hit 500 soon. So congrats to him on 450, and when he eventually hits 500. Um, I'm also getting close to 200, and I don't know if I'm gonna do a giveaway or do any kind of event because I'm just really not into like trying to grow my subscribership. It's nice if it happens, but for me, it's just um, I love the fact that I'm connecting with all these great community members, and for me, that's good enough. I mean, um, it'd be great to monetize and earn money, but I feel like the amount of I'm really inconsistent with what I put out, and I don't know. I could probably use um, some time to like improve the video quality, the editing quality, and just the overall viewability of my content and channel. But there's a term in Japan called mendokusai, and mendokusai means like, man, I'd rather not. It's like I'd rather not. It's like what's the like the direct translation of mendokusai, like in Korean, it's like kichana. Ah, kichana. Ah, mendokusai. And what that means is like, um, man, it's I'd rather not do it. I just I can't be bothered doing it. Um, what a pain in the ass to do it. Kind of like that's kind of the that's kind of the sentiment around that expression. I guess in the closest American expression would be like, like expletive that, like, f that, like I'm not gonna do that. Just too pain in the ass. That's a pain in the ass. Something like that would probably be the equivalent. And that's the way I feel about like I could do all these things to uh, make the channel a lot cooler and better. And I'll be the first to admit, like, you know, a lot of this is just just because I love picking up books and sharing books, and that's really it. It's an outlet for that. And it's fun to have the engagement when I pick up a book, like to have somebody be like, "Oh man, that's a nice copy," or "That's a nice issue of that book," or "I follow that artist," or "I love Jim Lee." Just having those kinds of interactions for me is like awesome. But uh, I do want to. Um, who knows? We do want to like. I am doing this also for the engagement with community members. So if it gets to a point where like I feel like if we can incrementally, slowly build up or get to a point that's because I feel like I have improved a lot over the first initial videos where I was like in a dark corner of my room, like talking about books, to now having set up this sort of makeshift wall back here, and proving like I'm on StreamYard now. Naman Young and I are doing that comic interview show where we interview collectors and artists and stuff. So I feel like I've progressed a long way, and so um, I don't want to just like try to exert that progression. Just do it as it comes. And hey, Daman Young, you're not sleeping yet. Great 300 or 400 subscriber video. It was a little bit. I know there was a lot of confusion, and it was a fun video though. Everybody was having, it looks like a good time on the panel. So congrats to you. I'm sure you can hit 500 real soon as well. I think I won something. I'm not sure what I won, but I think I won something. I'll let you know. I think you have my address. I'll let you know what that is when the time comes. Okay. So yeah, we're doing a contest entry for Alex Big Blue. So I'll have the link to his channel in the description. Go give him a follow, go give him a like. And really the entry was for a video. It's a video entry. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I think Ragman claimed it or has to unclaim it. That's fine. And he wanted, so Alex at Big Blue wanted a video entry, and the terms for the entry is to share sort of a lesser known character that he should follow, and the sort of the associated stories with that character that he should read. And so my choice is Christy Blaze. Christy Blaze. And this is a little bit of a spec book as well. And I'll explain why. First off, Jim Lee. Now, I was watching Nam Yan Hyung's video, or was it? I was watching one of the videos where CJ popped in, and yeah, it was actually Gary B's. I was on Gary B's channel doing the 10-1-1. And I was watching that video, and I think CJ had commented that Jim Lee is a sellout because he sold his company Wildstorm to DC Comics. That's not my definition of a sellout, CJ. A sellout is like selling your convictions, building something and then selling it with the intention of like, it's a business. I built this business, right? I built the business to make money, and then selling it to a company that will really build upon what you've created because they have more resources, they have bigger market share. I call that like a smart business decision. So I don't know if you think smart business decisions are selling yourself out. I would disagree. If you want to talk about, so sell out, it's like selling, basically selling your convictions, right? That's my definition of sellout. If you want to talk about sellout, Todd McFarlane is a sellout. Here he starts Image, right? And then he doesn't, he gets into this fracas with Neil Gaiman over the rights of a character and says, no, you don't own that character. Like, there was no sort of like contract in place, but McFarlane pretty much just tried to screw Gaiman over it should have been equal, 50-50. I think Gaiman was down with that. Hey, just give me 50% of the rights to this character and we're fine. They went to court. It was a long court battle, and Gaiman won and won back the rights to Angela. So, you want to talk about a guy who's like a hypocrite or somebody who doesn't, has no conviction or goes back on his so quote unquote convictions. Todd, here he is like, oh, I'm all about creator rights. We're going to start our own company. Then he becomes the leader of his own company and then tries to screw over the people he's working with in the same manner that he was complaining when he left Marvel. So, I don't know. Again, CJ, I agree to disagree on your comment that Jim Lee is a sellout. I don't know what your thoughts are on Todd, But if you're gonna not call Todd a sellout and call Jim a sellout, even though those, uh, in terms of hypocrisy, Todd's on record for a bigger hypocrisy than Jim. By all means, uh, try to convince me otherwise. But anyway, back to this book. This is a book written, drawn. It's pretty much all Jim Lee. It's inked by Scott Williams because that's just how you do it with Jim. And it's a beautiful cover of Christy Blaze right there. So this is sort of the official full appearance of Christy Blaze. She actually dies in this issue, so but she gets resurrected. And this comic book is really good. I can't necessarily make the case for Jim Lee's writing on other, right? Naman Young, yeah, he's not a sellout. What would have been a sellout is if he like laid off people and then sold the company or whatever. But I don't think that's what happened. He pretty much paid off, like, people with, like, I'm sure he had some kind of severance package, and then he sold the company. And DC probably integrated all those artists and creatives anyway, so it's not like he sold out himself out on that. He just made a smart business decision because the company wasn't in a great place, right, when he did that. So anyway, this is the first full appearance. She dies in it. The first appearance of Christy Blaze is actually in an issue that previewed this, and I want to pick that one up as well. So it's Divine Right Zero. It's a preview edition. That's probably the copy you want to pick up as like a key. Both of these are key. This one is the variant cover of Christy. The other one is sort of this. There's a standard cover, not as nice to look at. It has more of the characters and stuff on there, but not as cool as this one. You got guns, the American flag, and boobs. So anytime you have like this kind of cover, I'm sure people want to get it. And it's definitely an under the radar kind of book, even though, so realize, like, all the Wildstorm stuff, their DC Comics is publishing these titles again. Not Divine Right per se, but they've come out with like Team 7, they've come out with Gen 13, they've come out with Wildcats, all sort of the old Image Wildstorm stuff, which is great. There's a lot of good content there. The fact that they're, kind of recreating the stories for a newer generation. I think the core of that Wildstorm, I'll just call it DCWSU, like DC Wildstorm universe, because they haven't integrated it very well with the main DC continuity yet. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to just to build up this Wildstorm brand within DC, and it's been going for years now. So there are people, I guess, there's an audience there. There are people getting into it. There are people like me who are nostalgic for it, even though I haven't necessarily picked up any of those books. I wouldn't mind picking up a Grifter, actually. I think Grifter is just one of those, like if you look at Deathstroke, Deadpool, those two guys are like, sort of the DC and Marvel versions of each other. If you look at the Image sort of version, although he doesn't crack jokes and all that stuff like Deadpool, and he's not a bad guy like Deathstroke is, what you have is a pretty cool looking gun toting, like, military sort of superhero guy. And the reason, so Jim Lee's written a lot of stuff over his career. I can't necessarily, obviously, Wildcats is a great comic book. But there have been hits and misses with his writing. But on this particular book, it's actually pretty good. Yeah, I mean it's a story about this computer science guy who runs across a file that gives him these like tremendous powers. They're ancient, like cosmic powers, and there are forces that want that power, and so they're like aliens and stuff, like chasing after him. Um, it's a 12-issue run, so it's not very long. It's an easy read, but again, there's lots of action, amazing, and amazing artwork because it's Jim Lee. And again, the story has a good pace. It's not too wordy in terms, and it's not like heavy. It's pretty much your standard day, your standard lighthearted, fun comic book. So there you go, Alex. Hope you get a chance to. I'm sure you know of this book because I know you're into Wildstorm as well. You're giving away the Wildstorm card, so you may already have read this book or know of these characters. But if you haven't, I really recommend it. Let me know in the chat what if you read this book or not. And that's it. Right? Ryan Agata worked for him in the late 90s and he has nothing. I mean, he's a super fan of Jim. To have an employee be a fan of yours while you're, before, while, and after you worked for him speaks a lot to the character of Jim Lee. So, I mean, I don't know what CJ's deal is, why he had to make a comment like that. CJ's an angry guy. We can acknowledge that. He kind of has beef he kind of has beef with a lot of things, and that's cool, but I would hope that that beef doesn't boil over into just kind of insanity, because just having beef with people who are just going about their day working hard and doing their jobs doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. So maybe it was just an offhanded comment, and he wasn't a lot of thought put into it. But yeah, I mean, selling a company doesn't necessarily mean you sold out, because he's still doing comic books. He's still creating. He's still very influential. In fact, DC is giving him pretty much all control over character design, and they're consulting with him on what to do with the DC cinematic universe. That's a lot of power to give to a guy. And I have the ultimate faith that Jim, because he's been in the industry so long, because he knows us fans and what we like. This is a good. This late '90s book is just a good. It's a good model of what Jim. This is just fan service right here. This cover here, right? It's fan service. So he knows what the fans like, and I think James Gunn would be good to not stray too far away from what Jim's vision, or what he kind of consults and discusses with James. Yeah, I know that's CJ. He's a big joker. But yeah, and again, when it's unfair for him to make a statement like that against Jim. I'm just saying, like, don't do that. I'm a fan of Jim Lee. You're gonna a lot of people are fans of Jim Lee, so don't knock Jim Lee. And my beef with Todd McFarlane isn't necessarily beef. It's just I'm just saying like there's so much fandom around Todd McFarlane, um, and with good reason. He's a great comic book creative, but like I just feel like that level of fandom isn't around Jim, and I just sometimes wonder, what does Jim have to do to get to sort of Todd's level of um, sort of Todd's level of fandom. I mean, I don't think there's anything he has to do. I mean, he just as long as he keeps doing what he's doing, at the end of the day, people are going to realize like, oh yeah, this guy is probably the best of his era. Um, at least that's the way I think. But there are a lot of people who don't necessarily give Jim that mantle, and I just don't know. It just befuddles me as to what that line of thinking or rationale is. Again, everybody has a right to like their own opinion and like who they like, but let's not just cut people down and be unfair. Because I love Todd McFarlane as well. He's one of my favorite artists of all time. I just it's just when you see something like that where Todd and Neil Gaiman, I love Neil Gaiman too. Again, Neil Gaiman, Todd McFarlane, when they had this like legal spat, I it was like, what? You're just like, because you're big fans of these guys, and then when you objectively look at what's going on in that litigation, it's like Todd's doing that. No, the guy who like championed creators' rights and like wanted to stick it to executives like, hey, give us we do all the work, give us our due share, our fair share, and then he's doing the exact same thing to Neil. That just right like that, and people just kind of like whoop, they overlook that fact. Um, like if you call somebody a sellout, like know the definition of a sellout. Um, all right, so that's my entry. I do feel like kind of just rambling on this evening. I've got about an hour. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this broadcast and I'm going to just talk about Emerald City Comic Con prep, just kind of think out loud and do that. So, I'll just be right back. We're going to come right back. You want to jump on? If you're still awake, you can jump on. See you guys soon.